My name is Sydney Stewart, and today we're talking about the death penalty. What is the death penalty? The death penalty, also referred to as capital punishment, is a government sanctioned practice where a person is executed by the state as a punishment for a crime. When a person is sentenced to be punished in that manner, it is called the death sentence. Where is the death penalty legal? Everywhere you go, the death penalty is not legal. Some states do not issue death penalties. 30 of our states have the death penalty. Those states include Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming. 19 states and Washington, D.C. do not have the death penalty. Those states being Alaska, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Iowa, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Dakota, Rhode Island, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. What are the methods of execution? The most common method of execution amongst the 30 states that issue the death penalty is the lethal injection. The lethal injection is a combination of three drugs that induce unconsciousness, cause muscle paralysis and respiratory arrest, and ultimately cause death. Other less common methods, but still legal, are in some states include firing squads, electrocution, lethal gas, and hanging. What is my stance on the death penalty? The death penalty is a very controversial subject. Many people feel very strongly about it, and they're either for it or against it, but I can't necessarily, as much as I would like to just choose one side, I can't necessarily say that I'm on one side of the fence. I kind of ride the fence. Because when a person commits offenses such as serial rape, serial murder, or extreme torture and overkill, I feel like the death penalty is very fitting and like that person deserves to be executed. But on the other hand, as a Christian, I feel as though the death penalty should not be legal because the Bible specifically tells us in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. And I just feel like we don't have the right, no matter what that person does, to take their life away. Some people believe that instead of sentencing criminals to life in prison, for these really horrific crimes that they commit, that they think that sentencing them that long is just a waste of our tax dollars. But I think the matter goes beyond that, because when you take their life away, you're also taking their chance of redemption away or repentance. So, they could be sitting in there trying to better themselves and trying to work towards forgiveness, and realizing what they did was wrong. But when you take their life away, they don't get that opportunity. And that's just another part of me being a Christian. I think like that, and I know everyone doesn't necessarily, believe in Christianity, but me personally, that's my opinion. And too many times, people are wrongly convicted of crimes that they didn't commit. I feel like if only one person has ever been wrongly convicted, like that's one person too many. And it's bad enough to think that an innocent person spends time in jail for a crime they didn't commit, but for an innocent person to be executed for a crime they didn't commit is a burden that I personally could not carry. So that's another reason why I haven't quite, picked a side to be on, because I think it's just a lot more complicated than that. As much as we hate to admit it, our justice system does have flaws because we're humans and we have flaws. We're not perfect. And in the past, inmates on death row have been acquitted before their innocence have been acquitted before their execution dates arrived due to their innocence being proven before after they were wrongly convicted. An example being in 1973 when David Keaton of Florida was acquitted after the actual killer of the murder of an off-duty deputy sheriff during a robbery was identified and found guilty of that crime. And had justice not ultimately prevailed in that case, we would have killed an innocent man. The United States justice system would have killed an innocent man for a crime he didn't commit. But then on the other hand, you still think, the death penalty helps get rid of these horrid criminals that we have living in our world, that we feel like they've done so wrong they just don't deserve to die. And an example of that would be the case of Ted Bundy. He's an infamous sadistic serial rapist and killer who was executed in the electric chair on January 24th, 1998. Bundy had confessed to 30 murders, and many of the women that he murdered, he raped. And people like Ted Bundy, in my opinion, when I think about the crimes that he committed, he doesn't deserve to live, and he doesn't deserve the opportunity to hurt another person, whether it be out in the world or in prison. So there, the death penalty seems so fitting. So it's no wonder that the death penalty is such a controversial conversation, whether it's right or wrong. I really can't say, but I think that's why we should continue discussing it, and I don't think there will ever be an answer that pleases everyone. Thanks for listening.